My Govanen, well met and welcome to the safe haven of Imladris.
My thanks. I'm much honored to meet you, Lady Arwen.
Durin's folk are welcome here. You have endured great danger and given us urgent warning of a new threat to the north. For this, we honor you, Farin.
Well, it was nothing, lady. It's nice of you fair folk to welcome a dwarf.
You show the modesty worthy of a hero. Estelle and my brothers have spoken highly of your courage at Fornost, and I thank you for your part in seeing to my brother's safe return. Please, take your ease and rest a while in our halls. You will find all your heart could desire, whether it be food, drink, song, or storytelling.
Estelle? Who might this person be?
Your pardon, good dwarf. It is my way to call Aragorn by the name he was given as he grew up in Imladris. Estelle means hope.
If you pardon my saying so, you speak his name with an uncommon fondness. Do I guess right?
Long ago, I pledged myself to him beneath the golden boughs of Lothlorien, saying to him, "Dark is the shadow, and yet my heart rejoices, for you, Estelle, shall be among the great, whose valor will destroy it." Yet there is much pain in this choice, for I am Elrond's daughter and half-elven. To cleave to Estelle, I must forsake my immortal life and become mortal, accepting the bitter with the sweet. Even should Imladris endure this war, Elrond will leave Middle-earth, and we will be parted beyond the end of the world. It is the price I must pay to bring love and hope to Estelle, to Aragorn.
He has a long list of names, to be sure. How'd he come by that one?
It is common practice to foster the children of chieftains of the Dunedain in Imladris. Aragorn was but 2 years of age when his mother, Gilrain, brought him here after his father was slain by an orc arrow, Isildur. Elrond became like a father to him. Knowing the enemy sought ever for a living heir of Isildur, he renamed the boy Estelle to keep his true name and lineage hidden. Aragorn was 20 before Elrond revealed these things to him and gave him tokens of his heritage. But he remains Estelle to me, for he is my heart's hope, even as he is the hope of the Dunedain.
I'd happily sit for a long spell in Rivendell, but Elrond set my friends and me a task to scout the Ettenmoors. We'd best be on our way soon.
Then I will not keep you, but we may be of service to one another. I am helping my father brew a potion known as Miraval. One sip of Miraval can renew heart and soul, and bring new vigor to weary limbs. I am in short supply of certain rare ingredients that may be found in the Ettenmoors. If I gave you a list of the ingredients, perhaps you could bring any you find while carrying out your mission. With enough ingredients, I will return the favor by brewing an extra flask that you may have for your own use.
That's a generous offer, Lady Arwen. I'll keep an eye out for what you need and bring it back once I finish scouting around. You don't look like any elf of Rivendell. I'd wager you are one of the Wood Elves of Mirkwood.
You are correct. I am Legolas, son of Thranduil, king of the Woodland Realm. And I believe you are a dwarf of the Lonely Mountain.
I've been through Mirkwood. It baffles me that you Wood Elves chose to live in such a place.
Mirkwood is the greatest woodland in all of Middle-earth. It was called Greenwood the Great, before the shadow of Sauron fell over it. In ages past, it was a place of great beauty. But now, it is filled with darkness and dread, save only in the north where my father's realm is maintained.
What brought you on such a long and perilous journey?
Unpleasant business. My father sent me to report the escape of Gollum, a creature Aragorn had entrusted to our care.
What can you tell me about this Gollum?
A pathetic creature who long held the Ring of Power. The evil of the ring has left him twisted and tormented. His only thought is to recover what was taken from him.
How did Gollum manage to escape? I understood you Wood Elves were pretty good at holding prisoners. But this one got away?
Not from a lack of watchfulness, but perhaps from too much kindness. We occasionally allowed Gollum to go about the wood under close guard. But on one of these ventures, the guards were attacked by orcs from Dol Guldur. In the confusion, Gollum escaped. We followed his tracks southward for many leagues, until it drew near to Dol Guldur. There, it became too dangerous to pursue him any further.
Dol Guldur. A name of dread to my folk. What do you know of it?
A stronghold of the enemy in the south of Mirkwood. It was once the dwelling of the Dark Lord, until he was driven out in the year of the Dragon's Fall. But it has once again become a place of great evil. All the darkness that besets Mirkwood has its source in Dol Guldur.
So, will you be on your way back to Mirkwood soon?
No. I have been chosen to represent Elvenkind among the Company of the Ring. I will be accompanying the halfling, Frodo Baggins, on his journey south.
It seems a little strange that, with a house full of his own people to consider, Elrond chose you, a Wood Elf, to represent the Elven folk in the Fellowship.
I asked for the privilege, and Elrond did not refuse me. I feel he may have been relieved not to lose any of his household to this quest. He will have need of all his strength, should the enemy move against Imladris.
Why'd you volunteer?
Partially to make amends for the loss of Gollum, but more so because this will be the final chapter in our long struggle against the darkness. And I wish to have a hand in our final victory. Or at least, to stand in the forefront of our last act of defiance.
Good luck to you, Legolas.
How can I assist you?
I should be going.
Ah, Farin. I am glad you are here. I feel I must apologize to you. When I was told a dwarf had appeared on the borders of the Shire asking to join the Dunedain in their watch, I was suspicious. I instructed Halbarad to keep a careful eye upon you, fearing you were a spy. Clearly, he grew to trust you. And after all you have done, I have as well. I am sorry to have doubted you, my friend.
Word is you've traveled a great deal. Is there anything you can tell me of the Ettenmoors?
Only that it is a dangerous and unforgiving place. My own grandfather Alador was slain by trolls in the Ettenmoors. It is important we learn if the enemy is active in the moors, but we do not send you there lightly. Be on your guard at all times while you venture there.
I'd like to know more about those chosen to be part of your fellowship.
Who is it that interests you?
Tell me about the Wood Elf, Legolas.
It is fitting that we have a representative of the Eldar, the Elves, along with us on this venture. They have been foes of Sauron since before the ancestors of the Dunedain first returned to the shores of Middle-earth. Legolas is keen of eye and ear, and he is unmatched as a bowman. His arrows seldom miss their mark.
What about these other hobbits? Is it wise to send so many of the little folk on this quest?
We are asking much of Frodo. Until recently, he had never set foot outside the confines of the Shire. It will be a comfort for him to have the familiar companionship of his friends and kin in the face of so much that will be new and frightening. I have traveled with these hobbits, and they proved far more courageous and hardy than many would suspect.
What about this man of Gondor, this Boromir?
Boromir is the son of Denethor, the steward of Gondor. I had never met him before Elrond's council, but long years ago, under another name, I served his grandfather Ecthelion. The men of Gondor are valiant and strong, and by all accounts Boromir is foremost among them in courage and skill at arms. I suspect we will have need of his sword before our quest is through.
What about Gandalf? What can you tell me of him?
To know all there is to know of Gandalf would require a lifetime study. There is much about him that remains a mystery, even to me. Yet he is a relentless foe of Sauron, and without his vigilance, the ring would already be in the hands of the enemy. His wisdom and leadership will be of great value to the Fellowship.
At least you will have a dwarf along with you, and one of the best too. You won't find a better companion than Gimli, son of Glóin.
I have only just met Gimli, but I hope he will prove to be much like you, stout-hearted and reliable, and a terror to his enemies in battle.
So, you go now to claim the throne of Gondor.
Above all, I go to help Frodo fulfill his quest. For unless the ring is destroyed, Gondor will soon fall, king or no king.
I take it you'd never heard of Agandaur before we spoke of him.
I had never heard nor dealt with Agandaur specifically, but I know his kind. Years ago, I served in disguise in the armies of Gondor, where I contended with the corsairs of Umbar, who were often led by those akin to Agandaur. These Black Númenóreans are a corrupt and wicked race. They worship Sauron as a god and seek the utter destruction of all who oppose him.
Good luck to you.
Greetings to you, Farin. Many times in the past have I welcomed your kin to my home. The bond between our kindred has at times been shaken, yet it has never been broken. Always before, I have placed my trust in Durin's folk, and never have they betrayed it. You will always be welcome here in Imladris, my friend. Yet I am certain you did not come here merely to exchange pleasantries. That is not the Dwarven way. Do you have questions for me?
I found this scroll at Fornost. I think maybe you should take a look at it.
A wise decision. This is writ in the black speech of Mordor, a language I will not utter here. It is intended to instruct the reader in the use of dark sorceries.
What is the Black Speech?
A language devised by Sauron when he desired a single tongue to be spoken by all who serve him. He had small luck introducing it to the scattered tribes of orcs and trolls, but it is still used by his highest-ranking servants.
We faced orcs at Fornost who used spells against us.
Then it seems this has already been put to use. That is grim news. The Dark Lord is a master of necromancy and other foul sorceries. He has taught these abominations to men in the past, but never, to my knowledge, to orcs.
The last thing we need is the Dark Lord adding another weapon to his arsenal. How do we keep this evil from spreading?
I will destroy this scroll, at the very least. But wait, here I discover more. Listen to what is written herein. Scribed by the hand of Agandaur, disciple of the great Lord Sauron, for the empowerment of his servant Wulfrun and those others of his faithful who prove worthy. I will speak no more of these blasphemies, but it does say that this scroll is one of 7 such works.
Who is this Wulfrun the scroll speaks of?
I know not, but whoever he may be, he is certain to be deep in the sway of the Dark Lord, and very likely a powerful sorcerer in his own right. We must be watchful for any sign of his presence in the days ahead.
Well, maybe we should turn the tables on the enemy by making use of this scroll ourselves.
Have a care, warrior of Erebor. You tread on dangerous ground when you harbor such thoughts. This, like all works of the enemy, is altogether evil. Any who make use of this, even from a desire to do good, will only be corrupted by it. Surely the ring has taught us that much.
Good thing we captured this then. What will you do with it?
I will destroy this scroll at the very least. But wait, here I discover more. Listen to what is written herein. Scribed by the hand of Agandaur, disciple of the great Lord Sauron, for the empowerment of his servant Wulfrun and those others of his faithful who prove worthy. I will speak no more of these blasphemies, but it does say that this scroll is one of 7 such works.
Why do you use the word blasphemy for this?
Sauron proclaims himself a god. He will not rest until all who live upon Middle-earth acknowledge him as such. He teaches these sorceries to his minions, intending that they will serve as priests in his cult, cowing others with their power.
Seems like Agandaur could have written a whole lot more than just 7.
Perhaps, but creating something of this nature is not a matter of simple scribing. Considerable preparation and effort is involved. We have reason to hope there are no more than 7.
So there are 6 more of these accursed things. Maybe we can find them all.
That would be a great service to our cause. Should you recover them all, bring them to me, and I will ensure they are destroyed.
You can count on that.
In the meantime, please accept this in appreciation for bringing this matter to my attention. Perhaps it will be of service to you in your travels.
One more thing. I found this book hidden away in the ruins of Fornost. It looks to be quite old.
Ah, now this is writing of an altogether more wholesome sort. This was not made by any minion of Sauron, but rather by the men of Arthedain, likely before the fall of Fornost.
Tell me about this realm of Arthedain.
Arthedain was the last fragment of the great northern kingdom of Arnor. The heirs of Isildur ruled as kings of Arthedain until it too was destroyed by the enemy.
But according to the rangers at the Sarn Ford, the line of their kings did not end.
It is true Isildur's line has remained unbroken. But without a kingdom to rule, they have not claimed the title of king and have been known simply as chieftains of the Dunedain. It is our friend Aragorn who currently bears that title, although he will be the last to do so. Either he will become a king, or Isildur's line will come to an end with him.
So you think this book is a record from those days? You could be right, for we found it in a chamber that had been long sealed. Can you make out any of the writing?
Indeed. It seems to be a personal journal. And here is a name inscribed. M.A.L. Why, this appears to be a work of Malbeth, the seer of Arthedain.
Malbeth? Never heard of him.
Many of the Dunedain race are gifted with foresight, but none more than Malbeth. He predicted the final destruction of the kingdom of Arthedain, which befell exactly as he had foretold. I will examine this work carefully. Who knows what other visions are here recorded? It may be that we will find something of value to us in this time of trouble. You did well in bringing this to me. Take this in way of thanks.
Is there anything more you can tell me about this mission to the Ettenmoors?
Only that the Ettenmoors are a dangerous place at the best of times. The danger will be that much greater if the orcs and trolls are being organized by an outside force. You and your friends will need to have your wits about you.
If we do find the enemy mustering there, what should we do about it?
You will have to determine your best course of action. But when dealing with the foul folk, it is always wise to eliminate any strong leader you may find. For without someone who can enforce discipline, they will often fall to fighting amongst themselves. If the enemy is mustering in the Ettenmoors, try to recover any clues that may help us determine who is behind it and where they may be found.
Who could raise such a muster?
Agandaur would be my first guess, but it could also be a strong orc chieftain, or perhaps an unusually cunning troll. At worst, one or more of the Nazgul may have made their way there, if any of their mounts survived the flood we unleashed upon them.
Whatever may be happening there, you will know of it. Farewell, Master Elrond.
The sun shines and all is fair and peaceful here in Imladris. A far cry from the blood and dust of Fornost, is it not? You and your companions did very well there. Indeed, things might have gone badly for us had you not been there. You have earned some time to recover from the toils of battle and hard travel. And I believe you will find no place better for the restoration of body and spirit than this, our home.
What was it that brought you to Fornost?
We often ride far afield hunting the orcs, wherever we may find them. We came upon signs of a large band of goblins making their way from the orc hold of Mount Gram and followed their trail to Fornost, where we lost no time in attacking them.
I take it you often join forces with Aragorn.
Yes, we often venture forth in company with the Dunedain, and none more frequently than Aragorn. He was raised here in our household, after all.
Will you tell me more about your family? I know Elrond is your father.
Yes, it was he who established the refuge of Imladris. My brother and I have dwelt here all our lives. Our sister Arwen dwells here as well, although she has spent many years in the company of our grandmother.
And your mother, does she dwell here also?
Our mother has crossed the sea and left Middle-earth. It is a bitter tale to tell. Many years past, on a journey across the Misty Mountains, our mother was captured by orcs. We searched the mountains without rest until we found her at last. Our father was able to heal her injuries, but the memory of her torment was too terrible for her to bear. At last she chose to depart for the Undying Lands. Perhaps now you understand why our hatred for the orcs is so great.
That's an awful tale to hear. I shouldn't have brought it up.
No, my friend. We have drawn swords together in the same cause. You have earned our trust. We do not wish to keep anything hidden from you. This is the evil that we have pledged our lives to destroy, just as you have.
I may need a few things before I'm ready to set out. Can anyone here help me with that?
If it is provisions or other supplies you need, you should speak with Alari. And if your arms and armor need tending, seek out Angmir. Both of them may be found nearby.
Farewell, and luck be with you.
Hello! Always happy to meet a dwarf. And one from the Lonely Mountain, if I'm not mistaken.
I am Faran of Erebor, and we have met before, Bilbo Baggins.
Have we now? Oh, I'm afraid I don't recall. You'll have to forgive me. I've grown somewhat forgetful lately.
We met upon your last visit to Erebor. I guess that was near 20 years ago now. And before that, I had the honor of sharing the field with you at the Battle of Five Armies. That was my first real taste of battle. I was hardly more than a lad at the time, but it was a glorious day.
Oh, yes, the Battle of the Five Armies. A nasty business, that. Personally, I'm glad those days are behind us. But then again, it seems as if they may not be. Everything seems to be pointing to some dark times ahead. Speaking of which, I'm told that you and your friends did a great deal to help my Frodo and the Dunedain reach Rivendell safely. You'll have to tell me all about it one of these days so I can write it down properly.
This Frodo, he is your heir, but I had not heard that you had a son.
Oh no, he's not my son. Actually, he's my first cousin once removed. And also my second cousin once removed. Well, it's complicated, but we share a great-grandfather. The poor lad was orphaned at an early age, and so I adopted him. Made him my heir, all nice and legal, while simultaneously dashing the greedy hopes of my odious relations, the Sackville Baggins. He's a good lad, Frodo. I only wish he hadn't inherited my troubles along with my estate. I hope that Gandalf and the Dunedain will keep him safe in the days ahead.
The Dunedain? Who do you mean?
Why, Aragorn, of course. From the Elvish, Dun-Adan, man of the West. Númenórean. Around here, Aragorn is often known simply as the Dunedain. A remarkable man, Aragorn, and a good friend. I almost wish that I could accompany him on his grand quest, but I'm far too old for adventures now. I only hope I will be spared long enough to write it all down.
Can you tell me how Frodo came to hold the Ring of Power?
Well, yes, that was through me, I'm afraid. I found the ring by happenstance while lost beneath the roots of the Misty Mountains. I won it. That is to say, I took it from the creature Gollum. Of course, I did not know the full story of the ring until only a few days ago. I thought it was merely a magical bauble with the power to make the wearer invisible. I only used it to avoid unwelcome visitors. Imagine that old ring of mine causing such a fuss. I would gladly take charge of it again if that would help. Oh, yes. Gladly. Yes. You know, I think it would be best if we discussed something else.
Now you call Rivendell your home.
Well, the Shire will always be my home, I suppose. But this is the perfect place for so many things that I'm more than content to remain here. My days are mostly filled with my writing now.
What is it you write?
Oh, a little of this and a little of that. History, my past adventures, family trees. I've even begun a book of translations from the Elvish. Although lately I've been working on poetry mostly. Say, maybe you could help me with that. I'm writing a poem for Aragorn and I'm a bit stuck on a line or two.
Are you now? Well then, let me hear what you have.
Very well, very well. The verse that's giving me trouble runs like this. Ahem. The light from the west is rekindled. Forth from Imladris it springs. Renewed is the hope that has dwindled.
The light from the west is rekindled. Forth from Imladris it springs. Renewed is the hope that has dwindled. A bloody sword he swings.
Oh, well, yes. Yes, that would be one option, wouldn't it? It's apparent that you have more of the warrior than the poet in you, my friend.
Not that kind of poem, is it? I guess I'd best stick to the axe.
It's not that, it's just... Well, this bit of poetry needs a certain kind of subtlety. Perhaps you could show this to the Lady Arwen. She has a people's gift with words, and this touches her deeply, after all.
Arwen? And who is that?
Why, she's Elrond's daughter, of course, and Aragorn's beloved as well. Although you didn't hear that from me, she's a sweet lady, and I'm sure she'd be willing to give me a hand with this.
I'll take it to her.
Ah, thanks very much. Be sure to give her my compliments, won't you?
I'll be sure to do that. Farewell, Bilbo.
Hello. You are Farin, aren't you? I was hoping I would get a chance to speak with you.
Aye, and you must be Frodo Baggins. Aragorn and Gandalf have told me all about you, and the burden you bear.
Likewise, they have told me all about you. I wanted to thank you and your friends for all you did to keep us safe on our journey to Rivendell.
Will you tell me about your journey here? Sounds as if it were a rough one.
We had trouble almost from the start. The Black Riders were always just behind us, and we nearly met disaster in the Burrow Downs, at Bree, and again at Weathertop.
You came through the Burrow Downs? I won't soon forget that accursed place. You were lucky to come out alive. That's no place for hobbits to go a-wandering.
You seem to know a great deal about the Burrow Downs already. I'd prefer not to speak about what we found there. It is too horrible to dwell on, even here in the safety of Rivendell.
What happened to you in Bree? We must have just missed crossing paths there.
There were spies in Bree, and our room was attacked in the night. If Strider hadn't convinced us to sleep elsewhere, our journey would have ended then and there.
What happened at this place called Weathertop?
We were attacked by 5 of the Black Riders. I was foolish, and I put on the ring. One of them wounded me before Aragorn managed to drive them away. The knife that was used against me left a shard in the wound. From what Gandalf has told me, the fragment was working its way inward. If it had reached my heart, I would have become a wraith under the power of the Black Riders. Fortunately, we were able to reach Rivendell in time for Elrond's healing arts to save me.
It is a little thing, this ring, but filled with mischief. Will you show it to me?
No, I mean, I'm sorry, but Gandalf and Elrond have warned me against revealing the ring to anyone, even proven friends. I hope you understand.
I think I do begin to understand. I shouldn't have asked. Forgive me.
There is nothing to forgive. But the ring, it has a strange effect on everyone around it. It is better for it to remain hidden.
It truly is a heavy burden you bear, Frodo. I hope you find strength and wisdom on the long road ahead. Farewell.
Farin, my lad, by my beard, it's good to see you again. When you left Erebor to stand guard on the Shire, Gimli and I feared we might be seeing the last of you. Now I hear you stood with the Rangers in the battle against the Nazgul at Sarn Ford, and bested an Orc chieftain at Fornost. Good work!
I can't take all the credit. I had Andriel, an elf of Rivendell, and the ranger, Erodan, at my back.
Reminds me of the old days when dwarves, elves, and men fought together in the Battle of the Five Armies.
Then I've your blessing being allied with an elf?
I will speak plainly. I may be less than fond of King Thranduil's wood elves for keeping me in their dungeons, but I've no grudge with any of Elrond's folk.
So I've heard you say many times, but the elves fought beside us when it mattered most.
You're right, of course. I can be a stiff-necked old dwarf, but it's time to set aside grievances that were long ago repaid. When dwarves, men, and elves fought together at Erebor, we overcame legions of foes. But we face a far more terrible enemy in the Dark Lord. Standing together against Agandaur may be more than just a good idea. It may be our only hope to save the North.
Let's not leave out the Eagles. They've been a big help to us.
Well spoken. Thorin's quest and the Battle of Five Armies would have met disaster without the help of the Eagles. You're fortunate to have gained the friendship of such noble creatures. Your life may well depend upon your choice of friends, whatever kindred they be.
And besides, it wouldn't hurt to keep Sauron a little distracted. If we keep him second-guessing his plans for the conquest of the North, it could only help Frodo in the long run.
That's my thoughts upon the matter, too. Be the stinging fly in the ointment, as it were. Only this fly's sting will be deadly. And it's time to be about your business. Goodbye, and good luck to you.
Gimli, son of Glóin! This is a happy meeting. But what brings you to Rivendell? What has passed for good or ill since I left the mountain?
Aye, and it's good to see you again, kinsman. I've heard of your exploits at Sarn Ford and Fornost. They sing your praises here. After you left to aid in the protection of the Shire, the foul messenger from Mordor returned yet again with more threats. King Dain thought it best to seek advice from Elrond. He chose Glóin to speak for him. When my father set out, I refused to be left behind, as happened with Thorin's quest. You were there at the Battle of the Five Armies, while I was left to cool my heels at the hearthside. Well, not this time. I go with the hobbit Frodo and his chosen 9, even if one of them must be a wood elf.
The Battle of Five Armies was long and terrible, and many valiant lives were lost. Glory's of little use to the dead.
You say it as one who has won a share of glory and lived to tell of it, and doubtless will do so again. Don't begrudge me this chance to show the worth of a dwarf against hopeless odds. But in truth, it's not for glory I take this road. It's for the sake of all who lie under the shadow of the enemy. It's Frodo who bears the true burden.
I know little of hobbits. What think you of this Frodo with such a burden to bear?
I know that he's Bilbo's adopted heir, and that such great folk as Elrond and Gandalf regard him with honor. He's already come far with the ring, and endured the knives of those Nazgul. That's good enough for me. He's hereabouts somewhere if you wish to speak with him.
Who's this wood elf you spoke of? It's a long way from the forests of Mirkwood.
Legolas is his name, a fair-haired princeling and son to King Thranduil. Elrond has chosen him to represent the kindred of elves in Frodo's party. His purpose in Rivendell was to report that they'd let a prisoner escape. An easier escape than my father had when they held him in their dungeons.
We killed an orc chieftain and drove Agendour from his stronghold. What worries you about the north?
Before we left, we heard that Mordor was stirring up the Easterlings. But should they be foolish enough to move against King Brand of Dale, they'll find King Dane of Erebor standing fast at his side. But every step of the way here, we heard rumor of new gatherings of orcs and goblins and worse things. And though the fearful count every enemy twice, there may be some truth to it. You found such enemies at Fornast. When Sauron strikes, there will be more than one land that feels his wrath. I fear for the Shire and Rivendell, but my heart would rest more easily if I knew you kept watch over them. If Faron of the Lonely Mountain defends the north, then no enemy can prevail.
You don't ask much, but my friends and I will do what we can. If you can bear the honor of the dwarves on your quest, I can do no less here. You have my word on it.
Well met, Farin. It is good of you to visit me again. My thoughts stray often to Estelle and my brothers, but also to you and your companions. I continue to brew Miraval, but I am concerned about our dwindling stocks. We still have need of those ingredients I spoke of before.
It's been many years since I first met Bilbo the Renowned, and it's an honor to meet him again. There's no one quite like him, don't you think?
I had once thought Bilbo unique, but now that I have met Frodo, I say that elves know less of hobbits than we think. They have a strength within that is far greater than their stature. How many of us, thinking ourselves strong, could have borne the ring as long as Bilbo did, without being turned to evil? It sustained him, so that he is now very old amongst his kind, but it did not stain him, nor has it lessened his love of poetry and song. Dear old Bilbo, I believe there is nothing he loves more, except a good meal. In that, he remains a true hobbit.
Bilbo asked for help with a poem. I'm fond enough of the dwarvish sort of poetry, but this elvish verse is beyond me. He asked for your help, saying the subject is a matter very close to your heart.
Then it must be about Estelle. He is fond of writing verses in honor of his good friend, and therefore often comes to me for advice. You may leave it with me, Farin. I will give it some thought and answer him myself.
Thank you, that's a relief. It's not for a dwarf to be writing lines about the kings of men. And anyway, I have little time to spare for poetry. By your leave, lady, I should be going. Farewell.
You're welcome here, but don't do anything to excite the local folk. Everyone's a little on edge these days.
Tell me about Bree.
Oh, Bree is an old place. Been here for ages and ages. This is the only place in the world you'll find hobbits and men living side by side. We used to see a lot of travellers going through Bree. Not so much nowadays. But I still get customers enough to keep me busy.
Tell me about your inn.
The Prancing Pony's been in my family for generations. I can't rightly say how long, it goes that far back. I'm told there's been an inn on this spot nearly as long as there's been a town.
I may have need of a few things before I leave town. Where should I look?
Well, we have stores and shops here in town, but I suspect most of them wouldn't suit your needs. You might try Adelgar Oldbank's shop. He's got a collection of unusual items which might interest you. It's right across the street from here, on the corner. If it's repairs you need, try Elman Brushwood, our blacksmith. His smithy is just across the street, there on the corner.
All right, thanks.
Good to see you again, my friend. You'll be happy to know Idona's father has given us permission to marry. We are to be wed this spring.
You must be doing something right if you changed her father's mind.
Well, I have been working hard, but I think it had more to do with Idona. He always gives in when his daughter sets her mind on something.
Good things and good times come to you both. Farewell, Rowley.
Oh, my messenger! I have wonderful news. Rowley and I are to be wed in spring. Didn't I tell you my father would come round in the end?
Well done, lass. Good luck to you both.
Lewin has told me of your heroics in the Burrows. I am grateful to you for saving one of my rangers. It is only a pity that it was too late for poor Kilaran.
Another crime the enemy will pay for.
Kilaran dedicated his life to defending others, just as you have. You can best honor his memory by continuing to protect the North from the threat of Agandaur.
You can count on that. Goodbye, Halbarad.
Well, well, here's the champion of Erebor, come to visit old friends. I'm truly glad to see you again, Farin. Even stuck here as we are, we've heard reports of your deeds. You three are earning quite a name for yourselves. I'd find some of those stories hard to believe, save I've seen your prowess firsthand. I'll never forget what you did for me in the Barrow Downs. If I were free to choose my own road, I'd be begging leave to join you on your quest.
Best be careful what you're wishing for. We've had more than our share of hard knocks, I can tell you.
I'm certain of that, if even half of what I've heard is true. But my duty keeps me here anyway, and a ranger always does his duty.
Ever find yourself begrudging that duty?
What? Watching out for folk who fear me? Or at best think of me as a rascal and a vagabond? Strangely, I do not. Knowing I help make it possible for folk to live their lives without fear, well, that helps me sleep easy at night. At least on the nights that I am allowed to sleep.
Then I'll leave you to your duty. Farewell, Ranger.
Are you in need of supplies?
I have a few things here for you to look at. Or maybe you've picked up a few things along your way that we can use here. If so, I'll gladly take it off your hands. We've been living pretty lean here lately.
Good to see you again. How have things been here?
Ah, well. We had the sad task of laying our slain brothers to rest. But there has been no sign of the enemy since that day. Perhaps they found whatever it was they were seeking. Or perhaps they're searching for it elsewhere now.
Keep well, Maraudon.
Does your gear need repair?
We dwarves have a saying. Faithless is he who says farewell when the road darkens. I came here to help protect the Shire, and that's what I intend to do still.
They say it is hard to change the mind of a dwarf. I, for one, am glad of that.
Farewell, Smith.
Let me see what you have found. Yes, this is indeed Athelas. Now, according to the old law, all I need to do is add these leaves to boiling water. Let Elrond breathe in these fumes.
Selana? And our dwarven friend as well. How can this be? I thought you were all slain. But no. That was only the dark voices in my dreams. Yet, it was not all a dream, was it?
The fight was real enough. You fought bravely.
I tried to do my part, but I'm afraid I was not much use. I remember being scared mostly, and then the darkness fell. I thought it was the end of all things.
It's a good thing Selana here knew how to save you.
Mine was the knowledge, but it was this brave dwarf who found the herb that saved you, at great personal risk.
Then I owe you my life, friend. Please, let me show my appreciation. My weapons were made in Lost Numenor in the distant past. They've been in my family for generations. I want you and your friends to have them now.
Numenor? I've never heard of that land.
Numenor was the land of my ancestors. A great civilization. But it sank beneath the sea thousands of years ago. Only a handful of survivors, led by Elendil, escaped here to Middle-earth.
And who was this Elendil?
A mighty lord of Numenor. It was he who founded the realms of Arnor and Gondor long ago. Our chieftain Aragorn is his heir.
Hush, boy. You forget that we Dunedain still keep our secrets.
Yes, I'm sorry, I grew careless. Forget I spoke. But come, my friend. Will you accept my gifts?
My thanks. It is a fine gift. You'd best rest now. Farewell to you both.